very outset, newness. Jesus came into a corrupt world. The religious system was corrupt. The governments were corrupt. Humanity was corrupt. Their nature was corrupt. Everything about the world and everything that he came into at this very time was filled with corruption. It was actually dying, and death was all about it. Sickness, disease, all these things were prevalent. In Jesus' time, the world was in a horrible, horrible condition. Religion was a horrible mess. There was all kinds of idolatry, problems that you and I, we would have to spend hours to do the research to find all the things that was wrong at the time Jesus came. But we know from history it was one of the worst times that mankind could have experienced. So Jesus does something that to some people, they believe he did the same thing we do. That his kingdom is no different than our kingdoms of this earth. Many people teach it. I heard it just recently that one man said, well, this was Jesus turned this into wine just like the world has, just like we participate in. This is the same exact stuff, alcoholic beverage that everyone drinks. But that's not true. Now listen, this wedding was a wedding that was filled with corruption. Everything that was there was corrupt. And Jesus does something in the midst of this wedding to show them at the very outset of his ministry that he came to bring newness of life to every human being. And by simply taking this water, which was a type of humanity, and turning it into water, or turning it into wine, and turning it into newness of wine, was an act, a miraculous act to show them that I didn't just come on the scene to participate in the things that are here that are corrupt, but I come to change that which is corrupt into that which is holy and that which is righteous before God. And he used wine, which was also a type of corruption, to change this water into something that was no longer corrupt. And for those who believe that I'm wrong, you better search your scriptures. You better search the heart of God. Because the heart of God is to remove corruption from humanity, from the earth, to change it. And Jesus could not participate in anything that was corrupt. And wine is a form of corruption. Even the priests of the Old Testament could not use wine because of its corruption. They couldn't use anything that caused fermentation to participate in any of the sacrifices or the offerings. Jesus was to become the supreme offering and the supreme sacrifice. And God would not use any form of corruption in his own Son. And the last thought I will make this statement. It was about newness. Newness of life, newness of society, newness of religion, newness of covenant. It was newness that God was going to bring into the earth. Had Jesus, think about what I'm going to tell you. If Jesus would have turned that water into wine as we know it today, that causes drunkenness, causes all kinds of problems, then we can hold him responsible for every act of sin and every act that alcohol causes, and his kingdom is no different than the kingdoms of this world. But he brought a new kingdom. I'm not speaking down at you if you have been involved in alcohol and all those things. That's not my cup of tea. I'm trying to tell you that what Jesus Christ did in turning that water into wine was greater than anything man had ever experienced. It was a newness that no man had ever participated in. And the governor of that feast recognized it. And I got news for you. When they drank of that wine, they knew they had never tasted anything like that. Because it was from a different kingdom. It wasn't of the kingdoms of this world. And it was not going to have the same effect on them as the wines of the kingdoms of this world. The wines of the kingdoms of this world caused all kinds of problems and difficulty. Alcoholism, murder, rape, incest, every kind of disease and every kind of thing that comes from alcohol, Jesus would have been responsible for it. You say, preacher, that's over the top. No, it's not. We're not playing spiritual tiddlywinks here. This is eternal consequences. What you hear in your ear and what you receive in your heart may make a difference where you live and where you spend all of eternity. And we as children of God have no business participating in the things of the other kingdoms of this world. We are in a separate kingdom, and our king rules and reigns, and he provides for us as he feels fit. And we should be subject to him and accept readily what he speaks to us. We should eat and drink and do the things that he commands us to do, and we should be concerned about the kingdoms of this world. They're foreign to us. And he put forth a wine that was in his kingdom, and even told his disciples later, I won't drink of this cup with you until I drink it of anew with you in my Father's kingdom. And by the way, when Jesus participated in the Lord's Supper, wine isn't even mentioned. The cup is mentioned. Newness is the key. Newness. Nothing like the kingdoms of this world. The wine represented this kingdom is different than all the other kingdoms that have been to this point. And I'm taking the old, which was water in those 6 pots, which is a type of humanity, fallen humanity. And I'm going to change it into holiness and righteousness and joy and peace in the Holy Spirit. That's what the wine represented. In the Old Testament, we see reference of that. Why would we want to participate in something that the kingdoms of this world are using to destroy untold thousands and possibly millions of people? I didn't say that to hurt your feelings. I didn't say that to get you to turn me off. That's not the point. I want you to understand how great God's kingdom is in comparison to the kingdoms of this world. And if you're a born-again child of God, you have the very best in him. You don't need the things of this world. So the wine represents joy and peace and love and all the things, the fruits of the fruit of the Spirit. You see, wine came from the fruit on the vine. Jesus is the true vine, and we're the branches. And we're privileged to manifest the fruit, which when you squeeze the fruit, it produces wine, which represents peace and joy and love, all those things as a result of it. But it all stems from him. The kingdoms of this world cannot do that. The kingdoms of this world are filled with death and corruption. And everything they produce produces death and corruption. And everything that Jesus produces is life.